This song, okay? I saw this on TikTok a couple days ago, and when I tell you I obsessed over this song as soon as I heard it, I played that little 1-minute clip so many times. And so I went out for music, found the song. I came on YouTube and found his performance. I have watched his performance at least twice a day since it came out, okay? I love the song. Like, it's to a point where every morning on my way to work, I listen to this song. For the past 4 or 5 days, listening to this song. I love this song. And because I've never done a song like this here, I'm excited to talk about a song like this on this platform, because I appreciate all vocal art forms, okay? This is what we do here on this channel. We appreciate all vocal art forms, okay? So I'm excited to talk about it. Shoot, this is a good song. And he is singing in this song. And I wish I had the terminology to talk about it in the most accurate way that I know how, but I'm gonna do it the West.
A Western vocal coach sat down to react to a Punjabi artist she had never heard of. She didn't know his name. She didn't know his language. And within 60 seconds, she was completely undone. She watched it twice a day, every single day, for 5 days straight. That's not a fan reaction. That's something deeper. That's a trained professional confronting a voice she couldn't fully explain and couldn't stop thinking about. His name is Diljit Dosanjh. And the Western music industry is only now beginning to understand what 300 million South Asian fans already knew. But here's what nobody's talking about. The real story isn't just that he's talented. The real story is what Western vocal experts are hearing in his voice, the specific techniques, the muscle control, the intention. And once you hear it broken down, you'll never listen to him the same way again. Diljit Dosanjh didn't arrive at this moment by accident. He spent years building one of the most quietly powerful music careers in the world, a career that exists almost entirely outside the radar of Western tastemakers. No cosigns from American labels, no pop crossover strategy, no manufactured English debut single designed to court Grammy voters. Just a voice. And the craft to back it up. He built his following through Punjabi folk roots, Bollywood soundtrack dominance, and a live performance energy that turned stadiums into something between a concert and a religious experience. When he announced a North American tour, it sold out almost immediately. Not because a label pushed him, because the people already knew. But vocal coaches, music theory channels, Western critics, they were late, very late. And now they're scrambling to catch up. Here's what that vocal coach couldn't stop rewinding: the articulation. She noticed it immediately, a brightness in every single consonant.
I love how bright the articulation is. Everything is, even the consonants have brightness to them because everything's kind of more spread. And at one point he sings through his teeth. And at the end of the phrase, I love that taper off with the breathy vocal emphasis. I call that sound a vocal reemphasis or a vocal emphasis.
A precision in the syllables that gave the entire vocal line a percussive quality. She said it herself. It was almost like rapping, but it wasn't rapping.
There's a lot of articulatory percussiveness happening too. The consonants are quick and bright and fricative. So there's a lot of percussiveness in the nature of the vocal line, which really gives into the rhythm, the nice rhythm that they have. It's very percussive, this song is. You hear that musicality under the vocal line. So adding more separated articulation and separated syllables vocally gives more percussiveness and more.
It was singing with the rhythmic density and control of rap, layered on top of a melodic framework that required genuine classical technique.
Good. And I love that syncopation on the one line. I love that walk down. I love that syncopation and that timing and the intervals chosen on that vocal line right there. And then at the end of that line right there, before they started dancing, you heard multiple vocal emphasis right there. Something like that. I can't quite do it like him. Kind of like he trailed off with the echo of the vocal emphasis. Something like that.
She started breaking down something she called a vocal reemphasis, a controlled, intentional, breathy taper at the end of certain phrases, not a flaw, not an accident.
That's the terminology I've always used for a sound like that. You can hear him taper off and get breathy when he does a vocal re-emphasis. I love that. Oh, I love it.
Deliberate artistic choice that creates emotional texture right at the moment a phrase resolves. She said she had terminology for it because she'd seen it before, but never executed like this. Never with this kind of consistency and intention. And then she got to the vocal wiggle.
Hear that vocal wiggle happening on certain parts of the phrase. Okay, it's not just vibrato where it just kind of happens anywhere. No, it's an intentional vocal movement, like the pitch is changing, but it's an intentional pitch changing here. You see what I'm saying? It's different than vibrato. It's not just the natural tremolo of a voice. No, it's an intentional pitch change. Some people may call it a trill in my world, if you will, but it's an intentional vocal wiggle, a vocal movement that he's doing, and he does it so well and so quick. You know, I love that texture. I love it. I love it, love it, love it.
This is where it gets interesting, because what she was describing, the intentional pitch movement, the trill-like control, the shift that separates itself from natural vocal tremolo, that's not a Western technique. That's rooted in South Asian classical vocal tradition. It's a form of ornamental phrasing that takes years of disciplined practice to master. It doesn't come from a pop production boot camp. It doesn't come from auto-tune sessions. It comes from somewhere much older and much harder. She heard it. She identified it. But she couldn't fully name it because her training didn't give her the language. That gap between hearing something extraordinary and being able to name it, that's the gap Diljit Dosanjh has been living in for his entire international career. Now, stay with this, because what happened next matters. After that reaction video circulated, more vocal coaches came forward. More music educators started pulling up his performances. The pattern repeated, trained professionals, people who spend their careers dissecting vocal mechanics, sitting in front of a screen, rewinding the same 3 seconds, trying to decode what they were hearing. The larynx control.
Every now and again, he kind of scoops down a it's like a quick vocal scoop. See what I'm saying? And it's almost like a larynx drop on the vocal scoop too. It's not just na 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 na. It's na na na. You see how my vocal texture changes? It kind of gets darker when I go down to the bottom note, and as I creep up really quick, the larynx kind of raises up. Instead of it's a very slight difference, but it makes a difference. So you dig down, drop the larynx down, so it gives you that textural change as well as that vocal pitch change, if you will. You see how much laryngeal control this song is for real, for real. And I'm just kind of on the tip of the iceberg with this. And I'm not even going super invasive with every single move that he's making, but there's a definite technique that is needed for a song like this.
The way he drops down into lower notes and you can hear the entire vocal texture shift, darker, fuller, then rising again with precise muscular coordination. She clocked it. She said it out loud.
You see what I'm talking about? That taper off, breathy vocal re-emphasis. That's what I'm talking about. And there you can hear the vocal texture change. He was more emphatic. But then he kind of gets more smooth at that last line there. He kind of softened up. The vocal folds got a little more thinner in closure.
You stumble into. This is something you build. And yet, the mainstream Western music press had barely written his name. No Grammy nomination, no Rolling Stone cover, no late-night booking until the conversation was already too loud to ignore. The machine that decides who gets called a global superstar had simply looked away. Why? That question is sitting in comment sections right now, and nobody has a clean answer. What we do know is this. His Coachella set this year drew one of the largest crowd surges the festival had seen in years. American fans who had never heard a Punjabi song in their life stood in that field and felt every single word. Not because they understood the language, because the voice communicated something beyond language. That is not a small thing.
You know, it kind of let the track and the vocals on the track kind of take over as well. So it was a cool effect that he did.
The vocal coaches obsessing over his technique are not just reacting to a pretty voice. They're reacting to evidence of a musical education system, an entire tradition of vocal training that the Western industry has spent decades either ignoring or borrowing from without credit. Diljit didn't cross over into their world. Their world is finally crossing over into his. His upcoming projects remain under wraps. His team says nothing officially. But the performances keep coming. The reactions keep multiplying. And somewhere in a recording studio right now, there are conversations happening about what comes next. Whether those conversations center him or erase him is the real question this industry needs to answer. Because when a trained vocal expert watches your performance twice a day for 5 days and still can't fully put into words what she's hearing, that's not a trend. That's legacy in real time. Who decides which artists get called legends? And who decides which ones just get called interesting? Subscribe to Celebzova, because we're not waiting for the industry to catch up.